Hi everybody, welcome back to our Friday night live book reading of Roswell, No Good Deed. I'm Christy, and I will be reading chapter 4. Michelle read chapter 3. She's feeling a little bit under the weather, so I'm reading the longer chapter, and hopefully we will get started in a moment or two. Hello to everyone coming in and everyone watching this later. They're always available later to watch. So we are reading in support of the Innocence Project tonight, which we raised $5 so far, which is the minimum donation you can make. So the Innocence Project helps those who are incarcerated and can't afford the legal help in order to get themselves exonerated, because basically they would need to get their case reopened and they need an attorney, and they can't. And a lot of the times these families of the people who are wrongly convicted can't afford attorney fees or anything like that. So they need the help of the Innocence Project to reopen their case, reinvestigate it, and they're able to get exonerated. And so the Innocence Project actually has a Netflix series up now that you can watch and learn more about them. Also, the innocenceproject.org, and they actually have their financials on their website, which is really great. When you see a charity that has their financial report on their website, that's always a good sign that they are they're very transparent with their finances, and that means they're a really good charity to donate to. So, yeah. Okay. So, Jess, let me know if you're ready, and I could bring you on while I read, or if not, I will read by myself, and then I can bring you on later, whichever you want to do. But let me put this in the chat box real quick so people know. Okay, wait for more people to get in here too. Yeah, we're just saving the live after every single chapter we read, because fortunately Instagram has not been nice to us and likes to kick us out after almost every live that we tend to do. It's kicked us out before quite a few times, so now we're just we're making sure that we have everything saved, so we don't have to reread chapters like we have in the past. Okay. All right. Hello, I'm just going to do a quick wave to everybody in here, and we will get started. Jess is going to join me, yay. Hello, Jody Lynn, Jin. Okay, hey.
Hi. Hello, guys.
Jessica's in here, Chris is in here, Jody Lynn, a bunch of people. Hopefully we'll get more in here, and Michelle will be in here to listen since she's feeling a little bit under the weather, unfortunately.
Poor thing.
I can hear it. I'm sniffly and a little nasally myself, thankfully fast. I do not need to go for that right now. So.
No fun. Weather keeps changing back and forth.
It's that too, when the weather rapidly changes from like...
It's raining, and then it was nice today. It was like 70 something today, but it's a little breezy, and then it's going to rain again this weekend. Back and forth, back and forth. So.
Yeah, it's like that here. In the summer, if it's not blazing hot, it's raining like crazy. That's
oh, yeah.
In New Orleans. Sucks like that.
I'm going to try to do this, hold the book and hold the phone at the same time. I don't have a very good set.
It's an interesting talent to do that, you know.
I have to do it like this. Because I locked him out tonight because he's not going to scream. He's in screaming mode. We're not going to do that tonight.
Uh-oh. Yeah, we know how that is.
Yeah, I don't want to do that again. I'm like, nobody wants to hear you scream, kid. Nobody does.
Jody Lynn also suffers from allergies. Yeah, I have allergies, but hopefully it's too bad right now, but I do take medication.
It's okay. I've been kicked off twice already. Don't feel bad.
The prime reason I can't stay in my parents' house anymore when I go home is I've got so many issues.
Yeah, we got a lot more allergies up here.
It acts up. My allergies act up right away. I got itchy hands. I mean, I got this whole thing going on. I'm like, ooh, I can't even stay here. One night even is challenging. I can't do it.
Midwest allergies are fun.
Yeah.
More trees.
Oh, and an asthma pump for somebody, Jessica. Oh, jeez. Poor girls. I have, thankfully, I don't have asthma. I had to take what do you call it? Like the air where you puff it in your mouth? Those inhalers? I guess they're inhalers. I had to take that when I was a kid.
I never had allergies ever. After my kids were born, though, I got them a little bit. I don't get them like severe like most people do. Every once in a while, I'll have a watery eye day or something, but I got lucky that way.
Yeah.
Okay. I know nothing.
Oh, someone just made an awesome donation to the Innocence Project. Thank you. That was very generous. $20. I really believe in it. I know there's this one guy on like the first. I don't know if he's in the entire series. I haven't watched the entire series yet, which I will. But it's not something I could like fall asleep to. It's very somber. It makes you really feel like I empathize with people. Like I personally take on their feelings. Like I get seriously invested in shows. So I watched it and I was like, oh my gosh, like I really believe in the Innocence Project, but it does discredit bite mark evidence, which there is a guy out there that's featured in the series and he has like over like 30 years at least of experience in that field in what they call forensic science of bite marks on victims, and it basically discredits like a lot of his cases and what he's done for the prosecution of a lot of cases, and he's of course very angry about it, so he's not happy with the Innocence Project. But I like that they show both sides. Like they show the people who are for the Innocence Project and they show the people who are not for it, and so like it's not like it's a like biased at all. Like it really shows you both sides of the equation in that series. So.
Is that the one that has that attorney that I can't remember his name? His name is Brian, who's because there's one project where he was getting a bunch of people that were on death row off of it that shouldn't have been there, and I'll have to show you. This series is on Hulu. It's really good from HBO. But I can't think of his name. But they did a movie about him too. It was really good, and he basically does the same thing. He helps people who shouldn't be in prison, and I think he worked at the Innocence Project, so that's pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of people in prison that should not be there. A lot.
There's a ton of wrongful convictions. Definitely African American cases.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like, especially this bite mark evidence is kind of crazy because that's been like the main evidence that sends people to prison is this bite mark evidence, and now they're investigating like the science behind it, and it's like, is this really true? Like, is this like actual valid evidence? And it's really good research they do in that.
That's cool.
So I enjoyed it. So it's definitely enlightening me and educating me. So
there's a lot of things about the human body that people don't realize, and like in anthropology, you can tell if somebody's an African American by their bone structure. You can tell, like you can tell whether where they live, the climate, all that kind of stuff. Forensic anthropology does a lot of that stuff. It's really cool because you wouldn't think that. You would think everybody has the same, but they don't. The jaw is different.
Everyone's uniquely made individuals. So
yep, it's really cool. It's really cool. So, all right. So we got our first glimpse of our bad guys. They're bad guys.
We did. I'm not happy about them. Michelle had trouble reading the chapter for two reasons. One, she's not feeling great, and second, these are really terrible people, you know, selling a fake drug to parents for like thousands and thousands, well, $15,000. So they're robbing families of their livelihood, you know, with all that money. I mean, I'm sure that's like savings and retirement money right there that they're taking. So
that's awful.
It's really awful. So all right. Now we are with We are in chapter 4
Four.
with our lovely characters our beloved characters that we love so much. Who sent me for test? That one's questionable.
That's
Maybe
later.
a couple of us like her, but most of us don't. So, all right. Chapter 4, March 24th, unknown location. Michael's head hurt. The pain was so great that the back of his skull throbbed. He knew if he opened his eyes, that light would stab them, making the pain worse. He tried to reach his head, then realized that his arms were trapped. He rolled on his stomach, his body making a thump against a wood floor. He'd been attacked in front of the apartment building. He should have been on grass or on concrete. His stomach turned, nausea filling him. There was a strange smell in his nostrils, a dry medicinal. Oh gosh, these words. A dry medicinal odor that clung to
Medicinal?
Medicinal. I can't pronounce some words sometimes. Okay,
Me
poor Michael.
too.
Anyway, his hands were tied. He could feel the rope cutting into his skin. He still didn't want to open his eyes. Let the nausea pass. Let the dizziness, the pain move past him. Something was very wrong. Beneath the medicinal smell, he caught a whiff of exhaust. The smell was coming from his clothing, almost as if he'd been standing near a running car. But he hadn't been. He'd been trying to see Maria. Maria! His eyes fluttered, started to open, and he moaned. He was really late now. She'd never forgive him. She probably had no idea where he was. Neither did Max. Neither did he. He remembered the movement of a car, the slickly sliding, out-of-control feeling that he used to have when he was trying to sleep in the back of his dad's pickup. His dad never bothered to buckle him in or let him sit on the seat beside him. At night, if Michael was along, he'd fall asleep in the back near the wheels, in the cans of paint, and the tire chains. Sometimes they'd even slide into him as the truck went around a curve. Something slid into him not too long ago. He remembered it gouging into his thigh, the pain pulling him out of his groggy sleep. His eyelids felt stuck together. He blinked again, then peered through his eyelashes. Walls, floor, light coming from a bulb overhead, blinding him. Not yet, a man's voice said. A cloth covered Michael's mouth and nose. A hand pressed the cloth into his face. He struggled, the nausea growing worse. The medicinal smell was back, dry, antiseptic, taking the air from his lungs. He kicked, but his feet were bound too. He tried to roll away, but another hand held him. He had to focus. If he could focus, he could use his powers, blast this guy off him. But his ability to think was evaporating. He was losing consciousness again. He fought to stay awake, but he could sense himself spiraling away, becoming nothing, going nowhere, unable to save himself. March 24th, Roswell, New Mexico. This is wrong, Liz said. Maria's fingers felt along the top of the doorframe. Lots of dust, most of it trickling down into her hair and her eyes. Good thing she wasn't dressed up this morning. She probably looked like a wreck already. She balanced precariously on the empty cardboard boxes one of Michael's neighbors had left in the hallway. Maria, Liz said, we shouldn't be doing this. Maria stretched to her full length, reaching for the far corner. What do you suggest we do, Liz? I don't know. Liz looked over her shoulder. Maybe Michael just went somewhere, you know? If he went off somewhere, he would have told me. He hasn't in the past. Maria lost her balance, tottered, then jumped off the boxes. Well, that was the past. Her hands were covered with grime. Obviously, nothing had been on top of that door frame for a long time. What's with Michael, she asked. Most people hide a key somewhere in case they lock themselves out. Liz raised her eyebrows. Is that what you were looking for? A key? What did you think I was doing? Searching for a secret unlocking mechanism? How should I know? You're being weird. You're being weird. There has to be a key somewhere. No, there doesn't, Liz said. Maria frowned at her. It's Michael, Liz said. Maria let out a small sigh and then shook her head. What was she thinking? Michael could change matter with his bare hands. What did he need the key for? If he locked himself out, he could probably make the lock turn just by putting his palm against the doorknob. She leaned against the wall and slid down. I'm so worried. I know, Liz said. He didn't answer the phone all night. You called him all night? Maria glared at her. It was your idea. Actually, it was Alex's. Whatever. I called, and there's been no answer. Do you think he's hurt? He will be if he's just not answering the phone, Maria said. And the door, Liz said. I don't know how anyone could have survived all that pounding. Maria's hand wasn't surviving that well either. She'd used the side of her fist, and now it was hot and achy. One of the neighbors had even peered out just to see what she was doing. trying to wake him up, Maria had said, and somehow the neighborhood understood. Maria didn't want to know why the neighbor knew about Michael's sleeping habits. Maybe we should get Max, Liz said. That's your solution for everything, isn't it? Maria asked. Let's get Max. Well, it felt pretty dumb, Michael sleeping on the couch with his headphones on like he was on Valentine's Day. I think that was on purpose, Liz mumbled. I heard that, Maria said. Liz shrugged, then extended her hand. Maria took it and let Liz help her to her feet. Either we try to go in, or we give up, or we get Max, Liz said. Maria reached into her purse and took out her wallet. What are you doing? Liz asked. Maria pulled out her MasterCard and waved it in front of Liz's face, trying to get in. Liz crossed her arms. That only works in the movies. No, it doesn't. Maria faced Michael's door, blocking the neighbor's view of what she was doing with her body. She slid the credit card along the door frame and heard a satisfying click. Then she shoved the door open. You've done this before, Liz said with awe. Maria smiled. Only on this door. It has a flimsy lock. She stepped inside. Sunlight filtered through the blinds on the windows. The place smelled faintly of hamburger grease. Michael's diet was remarkably similar at home and at work, and of Michael's hair gel. A pair of battered tennis shoes lay on the living room floor, complete with crumpled socks. The couch looked rumpled, and the remote was on the arm where Michael kept it when he'd been watching a lot of TV. Marie touched the television set. It was cool. Liz hovered near the door, glancing into the hallway. Close the door, will you? Maria asked. No sense letting the entire neighborhood know we're here. Liz closed the door and leaned on it. I don't like breaking in. Michael won't know, unless he's here. But Maria could already tell he wasn't here. She was very attuned to everything about Michael. His movements, his voice, the way he turned his head, even the feeling in a room changed when he entered it. He hadn't been here for some time. Still, she inspected all the rooms, from the bathroom with the shaving equipment on the sink and the towels crumpled on the floor. She touched one of the towels. It was dry, and she could tell from the position it was in that Michael had left it on the floor wet. Then she glanced into the bedroom. The bed was unmade, and it was impossible to tell if Michael had slept in it last night or not. His sheets were hung neatly in the closet, and his jeans were draped over a chair. His jacket and his car keys were gone, though. Maria frowned. Hey, Liz, do you see Michael's keys? No. Liz's voice filtered in from the living room. It sounded like she hadn't moved at all from the front door. Would you check, please? Liz's sigh echoed all the way from the living room, but Maria could hear her rustling around. Maria checked the bedroom dresser and the scarred nightstand, finding nothing. She didn't look in the drawers, though. She didn't want to be perceived as that much of a snoop. When she went into the kitchen, she saw Liz gingerly lifting the lids of old pizza boxes and looking beneath them. No keys, right? Maria said. Liz nodded. Michael's car's outside. So, Liz said, the apartment was locked. Maria frowned. Yeah, but usually Michael walks anywhere. He doesn't go far. Otherwise, he drives. Liz nodded. She knew that. Maybe he walked somewhere. When? Maria asked. He didn't answer the phone this morning. How many times did you call? Enough to give you some statistics, Maria said. I don't like this. Me either. It sounded like an admission from Liz. What do you think we should do? Maria looked around the messy but familiar apartment. It looked very empty without Michael inside. I hate to tell you this, girl, but I think we should call Max. Liz winced and looked away. Her relationship with Max had been difficult all year. She kept expecting him to run off the test. Liz had broken it off with him, but she still cared for him, so much that it hurt her to talk about him. Maria would have known that without Liz saying a word to her, but Liz did confide in her. Liz had to confide in someone. You want me to call him? Maria asked. No, Liz said, pulling her cell phone out of her purse. I'll do it. We're at the top of page 44, in case anyone's reading with us. An hour later, the old gang met at the Crashdown. It felt like it used to feel, back in the days after Liz got shot and Michael saved her, when Liz, Maria, and Alex were just learning that the friends were aliens, or it would have felt that way if Michael were around. Maria had taken over a booth in the back of the restaurant. She sat on the side facing the door so she could see anyone who came in or out. Her cell phone's ringer was placed on high, just in case Michael called. Ever since she left his apartment, her stomach had been tied into knots. Max sat next to her. Isabel and Alex sat across from her. They'd all ordered Cokes, and the Evanses had ordered breakfast. I don't like how they put that.
Maybe it doesn't make sense.
I like the Evans, whatever. It's like, they're there. Just say that they're all there. Isabel and Max, whatever. Alex had stolen a piece of toast from Isabel's plate before she coated her food in Tabasco sauce, and unlike times in the past, Isabel didn't seem to mind. Liz had her uniform on since she had to work his lunch shift, but she hadn't punched in yet. She wasn't due to start for another half hour. It had been Max's idea to meet her, and a good thing, too, because Maria had a hunch Liz had forgotten that she was supposed to work. We should probably approach this like real detectives. Alex took a bite from the piece of toast. You know, figure out who saw him last and all that. Max had been the one who was most upset with the fact that Michael's keys were gone and his car was there. He had confirmed Marie's suspicions that something was wrong with all of this. Even Isabel had mentioned that Michael had planned to come to the crash down the night before. Well, Max said, I watched part of the game with him, but I had to get home to dinner. Even though you'd already had pizza, Isabel said, stirring her red-coated eggs, but not eating them. Max shrugged. You can't watch basketball without pizza. Isabel shook her head. Where was he going to go after the game? Maria asked. He said he was coming here, Max said. I reminded him that he had to leave before 8, no matter what was happening on the screen. He said he knew that. Maria could just imagine how he had said it, too, with that surly, resentful tone he used whenever he was told to do something he had already planned to do. I saw him yesterday afternoon, Isabel said, and he asked me. Her voice trailed off and she glanced at Alex. He was leaning away from her as if he didn't want to be that close. Asked you what? Maria asked. Nothing important, Isabel said, lying poorly as she usually did. Asked you what? Maria asked again. Isabel's lips thinned and she stirred her eggs some more. If you were going to get dressed up or not, and if he was expected to do some date thing, or if he could just show up and have a good time. Okay. Maria felt a flash of irritation mixed with a bit of amusement. That sounded like Michael. What did you tell him? She asked. That I didn't know. Isabel looked at her, and I didn't. You mentioned the hanging toenails to me, but you never said whether or not you planned a date. She planned a date, Alex said dryly. But Michael didn't know that, right? Liz asked, because they all knew that if Michael had known it, he might have found some way out of it. He was still planning to come and see you when I left at 6, Max said to Maria. Michael had been there at 6, and by 9, he didn't answer his phone. Her stomach turned, and she had to look away from the Tabasco-covered eggs on the table. She wasn't sure what she wanted anymore, for Michael to be off on some fool's errand or for him to have forgotten her and forgotten to talk with Max, because all the other choices weren't any good at all. The door to the crash got open. Marie squinted at it, trying to see past the bright light, which was having the effect of blinding her. Then the door closed, and she saw Tess and Kyle hurrying towards the table. Liz was convinced that Tess wanted Max again. That theirs was probably a true love that survived over the ages, and it would only take time for them to realize it. All the while, of course, hoping that she was really Max's true love, as he had told her nearly 2 years before. I see your emojis. Maria wrapped her
only these 2 books. We just got to get through these 2 books, and then she's gone. So.
It's all right, y'all. I think we'll get through it.
Yeah, I know. Gross. Okay.
Maria wrapped her hand around her cold Coke glass. Liz stiffened as she watched Tess approach. You found him yet? Tess asked Max, and Maria blinked in surprise. She hadn't realized that anyone had told Tess that Michael was missing. No, Max said. Where have you looked? Just as usual, Hans. Liz was twisting her fingers together. Maria wanted to reach across Max and make Liz stop. It was irritating. It wasn't hiding how she felt at all. What about the woods? Kyle asked. We haven't looked there yet, Isabel said. None of them were fond of the woods anymore, not after the whole incident with the alien crystals that could have destroyed everything. Tess grabbed a chair from a nearby table. She sat on it, then leaned forward. What about the granolith? She spoke so softly that Maria could barely hear her. Tess had met the question from Max, and Max alone. He has no reason to go there, Max said. You don't know that. Max winced. He and Michael weren't as close as they used to be, and everyone knew it. Do you think someone might have forced him to go there? Isabel asked. If they did, they'd have to be really strong, Maria said. She spoke louder than she had intended to. Everyone looked at her. She shrugged. It would be hard to make Michael do anything he didn't want to do, even if he didn't have powers. That's true, Max said, but Tess is right. We're not done searching. We're going to have to split up and see what we can find. He glanced at Liz, who shoved her hands into the pockets of her uniform. I guess I'll stay here and work in case he shows up, Liz said. Max nodded. I think that's a good idea. If you get a chance, keep calling the apartment. Maybe he'll come back and not even know that we're looking for him. Maria slid her coat back and forth across the table. Michael would be protesting right now. He hated it when Max gave orders, yet it felt right. Max did have natural leadership skills. Alex and Kyle, why don't you check the woods? Great, Alex said. We get all the fun jobs. I don't think they should go there alone, Isabel said, looking at Max. You mean without protection? Kyle asked, his tone dry. Us poor little old powerless humans? Tess elbowed him. She's right. There's beasties in them they're woods, Alex said with a smile. I, for one, don't mind a bodyguard. I just bet you don't, Maria almost said, but caught herself before the words escaped. All right, Maria said. All right, Max said. Isabel, you go with them. Isabel leaned back, looking satisfied. She shot a small glance at Alex, of the kind that Alex used to give her. What was going on with the two of them? Maria had no idea, and at the moment she wasn't sure she cared. Tess and I, Max said, lowering his voice to a whisper, will look at the granite.
I literally did this when I read this the first time. I was going, my husband's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, nothing.
No, we don't want them together in the same room.
I don't like it. I don't like it. But sorry.
Liz bowed her head. Maria almost protested, but stopped herself. Ever since they discovered the granolith, the four aliens had been protective of it. Maria sometimes got the sense they were afraid of it, maybe because they didn't know all that it could be. We'll meet back here in a few hours, Max said. I think we should call my dad, Kyle said. Everyone looked at him. It hasn't come to that yet, has it? Isabel asked. Come to what? He's not sheriff anymore, Kyle said, that last with a touch of bitterness. But he's good in situations like this. That's true, Liz said, and he'll know how important it is to find Michael and why. Her words hung over them for a moment. It wasn't like some high school boy who disappeared on his girlfriend. Michael's mysterious disappearance could mean anything from a skin attack to problems with the FBI to something as innocent as getting lost in the woods. Marie swallowed. You forgot me, she said to Max. No, he didn't, Liz said. He probably figures you'd stay here with me. Max's dark eyes met Maria's. He'd expected her to stay here, sipping soda and going quietly crazy. Well, she wasn't the kind of person to do that. But she didn't want to go to the woods, and she didn't want to tag along with the former Mr. and Mrs. Max on their trip to the granolith. I'll go see Brody, Maria said. Maybe he's been abducted again. You think we would have heard, Max said. Maybe, Isabel said, but maybe not. We're not privy to everything they do, Max. Max nodded. He might be able to use some of that equipment to help us, too. Maybe he has some ideas. That's what I figured, Maria said. Isabel was looking at her as if she were about to break or something. She had no idea what they expected that. Michael was missing, yes, but he'd gone off and done things on his own before. This incident might be just like those were. Infuriating, but ultimately innocent. Well, she said, what are we waiting for? And with that, the entire group was moving. Tess slid her chair back. Alex and Isabel were getting out of the booth. Liz was heading toward the back. Only Max hadn't moved, effectively blocking Maria in the booth. What else do you know? He asked softly. Nothing, she said. He sighed. You're worried, aren't you? She asked. He nodded. This time it feels different, doesn't it? She asked. Yeah, and I don't know why. Because Michael had settled down. He made some hard choices this year, and he knew that his friends cared about him. He told Maria more than once he wasn't going to screw any of that up. We'll find him, Max, she said with a conviction she didn't feel. I hope so, Max said. He can take care of himself. Maria had been repeating that to herself over and over. It felt strange to say it to Max. He's been able to so far, Max said. But someday we're going to face the things that made us leave our planet, and I'm not sure we're up to that. You think that's what happened to Michael? I don't know, Max said. But you know me. I always expect the worst. He slid out of the booth. Maria watched him go, her hands shaking. He expected the worst, and so did she. And this time, their worst was something she didn't want to think about. Ever. Right. We'll be on chapters 5 and 6 next week.
So, couple thoughts besides Tess. All right. I don't remember in the series Michael ever having a car. Ever. He always stole Maria's car. So that bothers me a little bit. It's just, that's one of the things that I thought, why in the heck did he say he had a car? He always stole the Jetta. That was part of the fun. He always took her car.
Yeah, he took the Jetta or he took
Max's Jeep.
Yeah.
Right. Which is just a little thing, so no big deal, but I noticed that. And then they talked about the
motorcycle. Did he have a
That is a good point. Thank you very much. That clarifies it for me. See, you guys think of things that I don't. I'm just too thinking about stuff. But yeah, you're right. He had that little thing. Okay, well, never mind. Well, then we can let that slide. Tess needs to
Yeah,
go.
if he had the motorcycle by this point, then that was his car. You know.
And they talked about the crystals. So we can go ahead and watch those episodes too. The
The
crystals.
crystals episode, yeah, those, what, 3 or 4 episode story arc about the crystals.
But see, the next book, it could fall before this or after this, so it doesn't matter if we're reading this one first. Because when we go into Little Green Men, it's an after effect of the crystals. So you can watch it now or later. Doesn't matter. So, but I noticed that they were talking about that. And that's why Kyle and Alex are like besties now. Because they're like, oh, we could defeat anything in the woods because they defeated the crystals. So I thought that was funny. This one is a lot of dialogue, which I love. I think this one is written more like a movie because if you notice, it goes back and forth like a movie would in the same chapter to different characters, and I like that. I
like the way it's written too. I like the way it's
way much
laid out.
Much better.
The dialogue is great. Maria's reactions are like spot on.
Oh my God!
Picture this happening on screen. You know.
Exactly. Like this is why most of these like this from now on are written like this, which is good. The first one, which I told you was my problem child, is not a lot of dialogue and it's a lot of detail and it's a lot of description of where they are and stuff like that. This is more personality and it's funnier because you got like Alex puns and you've got like Maria. She shines. And, we're about to go on a big chase where they're all going to split up, as you can see, because me and Tess, and we're all like, yeah, they're all going to go in their little places. And they're,
like Tess.
I hate her. I'm sorry. I hate her.
I can't.
But I know what she's going to do to Alex. So when you know that ahead of time and you think about that, you know what I mean? Like, when I look at her and hear what she does, and people are like, oh, well, she was great at the beginning. She's a cold-blooded people. She killed Alex. she ain't sliding in my book. So.
Oh, I'm gonna have to do something for Michelle because she missed the sunglasses trick that we would do.
Oh Lord.
I can do this.
I don't think mine does that, so I'm gonna place it.
I don't know if I have it.
She just did.
I don't.
Yep.
Sorry.
Same.
I'm back. I don't know what.
It said they were betrayed. I felt betrayed too. Mad. So mad. Oh. What was that? What a nightmare. All these things bugging out.
Sorry. I don't know how you got that. I don't know where she got that filter from. I don't see it.
Not all phones have it. I don't have the same images. I don't have this TV screen or any of that stuff. But I don't have an iPhone, so that's probably why.
Yeah, Michelle, I thought you were here the entire time, but we read the chapter. Well, I read the chapter.
She read. It wasn't that long.
I read and Jess, did interesting facial expressions when Tess's name came up. And then
I was like doing this the whole time so everybody could see Michael and Maria most of the time.
Yes, I know. I love that. That was so great. I know.
I was like, I was falling asleep. I'll do that every time. That's funny. It's really funny.
For the next couple chapters, are they gonna get closer, hopefully, to finding Michael?
Oh yeah, Michael gets himself out of this situation. He's smart about it. He's smart. He ends up contacting them, and then they know where to meet up. But there's more to the story, so I don't want to give out too much information because we'll read it. We haven't met the reporter too. We got the reporter coming because the reporter knows about that scam. Yeah, so the scam, and she's following the scam, and she thinks it's the kids. She thinks that Max and Michael are the ones doing the scam. So it's got a twist in there. It's good. It's a good story. I really like it. This is one of my favorites. Really good. I like it. And I love having more Michael and Maria moments and more Alex. Unfortunately, I know Tess is leaving, but then we also have Alex leaving too. So I'm trying to remember that. Just soak up the Alex while we have him before the evil one
Soak
takes
up
place.
all the Alex time while you can. This is
Yeah.
like the extra Alex bits we get that we don't get on
Yeah.
the show.
That's why I call them mini. These are my extra episodes. That's what I call them because I can see it playing. I can see our characters. I can see them playing it. I can hear the dialogue. So to me, I'm just, it's one we have to use our imagination for. So, but I love it because we get more dialogue and more inner dialogue too. Because even that bit with Matt, with Tess and Liz, he's sitting there like Maria's like wanted to make her stop because she knew that she was uncomfortable. We can hear that and we can know what they're thinking about, that kind of stuff. You'll get more of that too. Because at one point I think they leave them in the car with each other by themselves. And you're
Like
like,
Tess and Max in the car by
no,
themselves?
Tess and Liz are in the car by themselves. And they
Oh,
know each
okay. So
other.
that's an interesting inner
So it's like,
dialogue there then. Okay.
more dialogue, like, oh, don't talk to me, don't look at me. I like that stuff. So they get better.
All
I
right.
know.
Does anyone have any questions in the chat box while Jess is here, since Jess is our go-to book queen, book expert?
I've had several bookstores friend me, by the way. And since I've asked for
I've seen
bookstores,
that.
I've had 10 or 15 bookstores become my friends.
I mean, just
So as soon as
because
I
you're
give
out
them,
there actively searching for the Roswell books, right? And you've made that
yeah,
known on your page, and now they're like following you, which is fantastic because it doesn't seem like I'm getting anywhere with Simon and Schuster. I was supposed to email them earlier today. I didn't get around to it. Sorry, guys. But I
that's
just
okay.
have a
They
feeling that they're not going to respond anyway to my requests.
I
Because I
really
did
want to.
send them a DM yesterday during business hours, and it was left on read, which means they saw it, but they didn't respond. So, I mean,
I want
if you
to
can't
write
even
them.
send me a response and say it's going to take another X amount of days or weeks to get back to me on this issue, like, obviously you don't care to really address my concerns. So
I don't
if you
think they
guys
care.
want to at Simon and Schuster in your stories and be like, I'm really disappointed that you guys can't get these back on Amazon e-Kindle, or just put, like, hey, at Simon and Schuster, would really like these back on Amazon e-Kindle so I could buy them at a reasonable price, but that's what I would suggest for you guys to do if you want to, do that a little bit. I don't want to, I mean, at some point I could send the Wrath of the Roswell book army on them, but I don't know. I feel like that might cause more harm than good, but at the same time, they're not addressing our concerns, so I feel like I have every right to do that.
Yeah, they are making me mad. I want to write them a really heated letter and be like, you don't understand. I love these books, and they're very important value, and people want them, and they can't get them. I don't know why it's so hard for you to want to release them for the public. I don't understand. I don't get it. I just don't.
It shouldn't be that hard. I mean, I guess
No.
we would have to contact every single author of every single book, and we could go that route too, but I don't even know how that would work.
I mean, I'm up for that. I'll find.
I could contact Andy Mingles and be like, hey, bro, Turnabout's going to be the hardest one to get. Is there any way you could get the ebook rights back, at least to have it on Amazon ebook as a Kindle, because that's going to be the cheapest way to obviously read it, at least, if not a physical copy.
I mean, we can try because the bookstore idea is a great idea because there are people who are going to want physical copies of it, but it's going to be slow going because they don't get them every day. It's not like they're going to get a shipment of Roswell books. So I have to wait until they contact me and say, I have this one, this one, this one. And then I can get with you guys and say, okay, you need this, this, and this. So it's not going to be, a big fix. So we can get something that we can try. You know what I mean?
Michelle is saying we should push for like a box set of the books, and they should re-release it as a box set, sell it for like $125 or something. And
you know what we should do when we contact
like a 20th
them?
anniversary thing.
Yeah, we should be like, with the release of the new show, we should be like, oh, you know what? It's be popular. People are really asking about the old Roswell now, and now they're asking about the books. So, a good idea would be for you guys to release it like a box set or something for those of us who are trying to find it, or do something.
I mean,
Because
we have great ideas for them, but they're just not biting. I feel like they're going to be not biting. Like, I feel like they have other things that they're going to put on their priority list, and Roswell, if anything, is going to be at the bottom. For whatever reason, I feel like we're being ignored. So,
I don't know why. Is there a reason?
Jody Lynn, we're sorry if you're a big fan of Roswell, New Mexico. Like, some of us aren't.
Sorry.
But we love, what I love about Roswell, New Mexico is that it's bringing awareness to the original. That's what I love most about Roswell, New Mexico. Let me put it that way, because there's things on there that I'm like upset about, like how they've written Max and Liz, and some of the things in there are inconsistent. But I mean, I'm happy. What I am happy about is that it brings awareness to the original. It's employing Sherry Appleby and Jason Bear. So that are like the three things I'm really happy about
I do like that.
the New Mexico show. So I will say that. But I think because of the New Mexico show, it is raising awareness to the original, which means it's raising awareness to the books. And for some mysterious reason, the 3 books that were on Amazon Kindle disappeared. So we're hoping to just get them back on there.
I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know why.
Really, not just the 3 that were on there, all of them.
Yeah, I don't understand why they even did it. I don't know anything about that stuff. If they have rights for so long, I don't know. So, yeah. I don't know. They just are giving us the runaround. So, hey, any ideas? We'll take. We'll try to figure something out.
Right.
Yeah. So the only thing I can think of is to talk to people who have bookshops and see if I can do it that way, which will be slow going, but at least they know. They said, I've had several and say, oh, you'll be the first one I contact. Because I told them, I was like, I'll get you business. I guarantee I will. I mean, we're being raped. Like, Amazon is like literally raping us. It's ridiculous.
Amazon and eBay, especially like this one seller in particular that we know of on eBay, like things Black Hawk Collectibles. And I mean, that guy obviously knows what he has, and now he's just upping the price of every Roswell book in his inventory, and it's just insane.
Well, I get people, they've even asked me, well, what do you consider reasonable? I'm like, oh, that's a good question. Let me see what I paid for it. Because I did not pay these high prices when I paid for it.
I think nobody should be paying more than $20 a book, in my opinion. That's just my humble opinion, that you shouldn't pay more than $20 a book. Because it's rare, I get it. So if you want me to pay twice the amount of what it originally cost when it was released, plus a little bit more, that's fine. But I don't think it should be any more than $20 to $25 a book.
I agree.
Because past that just gets really ridiculous when you're...
Yeah. And the one bookshop was like, wow, look at the eBay prices. I said, yeah, that's my problem. I said, I don't want to do that. We need to just do something reliable so that, people can afford them. That's the problem I'm having. I said, if you're going to be like eBay, I mean, I'm not going to work with you here. Like, I need people who want to give us reasonable stuff so I can send people, your way. So I'll get you money. You can help my fandom out. It's a win-win situation. And so hopefully when people, they keep coming in, like I send a little message with it and I send a picture of the books so they know which books I'm talking about. So they don't go, oh, I have Roswell High. I don't want Roswell High. Those are easy to get.
I know. That's what Simon & Schuster thought I meant too when I initially sent them a message. I'm like, no. Here's a picture and here's the list of titles, authors, and the ISBN number, so you know exactly what books I'm talking about. That there's no confusion here, because that's what I think people get most confused about, is like the Roswell High books versus the Roswell books. And I mean, like I didn't know about these books until you mentioned them, and then you didn't know about these books until Leonard mentioned them. So yeah. I mean, we're just finding, a lot of fans like me are just finding out about these books now, 20 years after they've been released.
Yeah, I can't believe that I didn't know about them until now. I can't believe it.
Do you guys remember them, like, promoting them? Because I would think that they would have, like, a little blurb of advertisement after, like, an episode aired and said, coming this date, Simon Schuster releases the Roswell book.
Well,
No
you
good
have
deeds
yours on
leave
videotape,
men, no loose
right?
ends, all that. Like, I don't remember them promoting this book series at all. At all.
Right, I don't
On
either.
television. I don't remember it being promoted at all on television. Michelle says I do. I don't remember.
I don't remember. We'll have to talk to her about that because I don't remember. Because a lot of those episodes that you had videotaped, like you like physically taped them off the VCR, there were no commercials for them. You would have seen it.
No, you would have seen the commercials, and the prime time to air that commercial would have been before or after a Roswell episode, saying, "Hey, these books are coming out based off the TV show. Go buy them now at your local bookstore." No, I don't remember hearing any of that. So
I should ask Leonard. He has a lot of the advertising because they were supposed to be season 2 of the cards, but they said they were coming soon, but they never came.
they
But
never came.
no, they decided not to release them because they didn't sell them. They didn't sell enough copies of the first ones, so they didn't release them.
Oh,
But he has the paper from the card people that says coming soon season 2. He has that in his collection. Because he told me about that. I don't have that paper. But so they never released them. They were supposed to and they never did. I wonder if he has anything about the books. I'll have to ask him.
I don't know. Michelle said they didn't really advertise. I was a super book buff, and at the mall bookstore, I saw them on display next to the Buffy show books.
Ah.
So unless you were regularly going to your bookstores for like the Buffy books or something else, and you happened across the display, you weren't going to see them. And you weren't.
Yeah, there are Buffy advertising in the back of these books, by the way.
So
there's
I feel like maybe they advertise the Buffy books more than they advertise the Roswell books, which is.
If you go to the very back of your book, they have a Buffy ad. See, Buffy ad, and there's an Angel ad in here, and there's some other book I've never heard of. Somewhere, I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me if they'd advertise the Buffy books more so because Buffy was already established in its sixth season or something. By the time Roswell had its third season, I think Buffy was in its sixth season. If I remember correctly, you guys can correct me in the chat if you want to. But
Excuse me.
I think since Buffy was already super established, they probably felt like they were going to spend more on advertising the Buffy books than the Roswell books. And then maybe in the Buffy books, they had an advertisement for the Roswell books, like they do in the Roswell books, So maybe they were cross-advertising within the books themselves. But that's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, Michelle said she's going to look in her Buffy books to see if Roswell is advertising.
Yeah, now I'm curious. Because I don't have any Buffy. I know that Buffy still has it still has I can't think of the name. It still has stuff coming out, I think. Doesn't it have comic books and stuff? They still do them, I think.
What, Buffy?
Yeah, they do a lot of comic books for them.
Yeah. I never got really into the whole comic book thing. But
I never either. I'll have to ask my friend who owns the comic book store. But see, the authors these guys were nominated for every single award in sci-fi books. Huh, they're in Oregon. So, yeah, snow and glitter.
I know. I thought I'd change it up.
I couldn't wait until I saw a promo. I love
couldn't wait for Roswell because I saw the promo advertised during summer reruns. Yeah. Yeah, I was like that too. I watched the reruns and then I would watch every single episode and I would have an episode per day during the summer and I would have a schedule printed up on my bedroom door like a complete dork. That's what I did with Roswell and I did that with Dawson's Creek too.
I know I need to do another rewatch. I'm ready for another. Just want to watch it again.
I don't think they promoted these Roswell books very well at all, which is probably why they're so rare and collectible.
Either. I don't remember any of it, but
it's just crazy that these books were originally sold for $5.99 and now people are making hundreds of dollars even off of just one book. Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I know. You're freezing up a little bit on your end for some reason. So, anyways, maybe we should wrap it up here and make sure I don't lose the chapter I read. So, because it's gonna like cut us off.
Save it before we lose it.
Yeah, we're gonna save the live before we lose it, because if it cuts and boots me off the app, then I have to reread the chapter all over again. I don't do that.
Huh.
So, but Michelle said she has 10 Buffy books, but no Roswell advertisements in those books. Yeah. Well, hold on to your copies. Never sell collector's items. So I'm going to go ahead and save, and we will be back on Tuesday and Friday next week at 7:30 p.m. Central, because obviously we like to be late. So we're just going to start later from now on at 7:30 p.m. Central. And that'll be it, guys. We'll start with Chapter 5 next week. So, and we'll see you tomorrow at Saturday for the Toy House rewatch at 6 p.m. Central with me and Sophie. Sophie will be back with me. So we will see you guys then. And thank you for helping us raise $25 for the Innocence Project tonight. Appreciate that. And we'll see you, if not tomorrow, then Tuesday on live.